I really hope my voice doesn't die by the end of this, but we're gonna make it through all 64 books. Hey everyone, it's Jananie and welcome back to my channel, This Story Ain't Over. Today's video is pretty pure and simple. I'm gonna be reviewing and rating all 64 books I read in 2022. Now, I'm gonna make this a little spicy for myself. I'm gonna make it so that I can only review each book in one sentence. So this way we'll get through all 64 books without this video being ridiculously long, or at least that's the hope, and you'll get a quick snapshot sense of each of these books so you can decide if you want to read them in 2023. Now, with all that said, let's jump right in. The first book I read in 2022 was The Keeper of Night by Kylie Lee Baker. This whole book is a metaphor for the mixed race experience, and the entire book ends with some huge bad bitch energy and takes some darker turns than I expected. This one got 3 stars for me. Next, we have Iron Widow by Shirin J. Zhao. I love the feminist smash the patriarchy vibes of this story and how it delves into the misogyny ingrained in the society, but I also really loved and also hated the main protagonist, who had some really crazy decisions and also made for some crazy plot twists by the end of the book. This one got 3.5 stars from me. Next, we have Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. This is the cutest Disney princess-esque YA fantasy that you'll ever read with some of the most endearing characters. 4 stars. Next, we have Kaigi by Vaishnavi Patel. This was my favorite book of 2022 because it had so much of my culture in it, and it takes the story of the epic of Ramayana and turns the tropes and characters on its head to tell a really fascinating and feminist story about women helping other women. This one obviously has 5 stars. Next, we have Secret Keeper of Jaipur by Alka Joshi. This one honestly was very underwhelming and felt slightly unnecessary. 2 stars. Bunny by Mona Awad. This one is honestly really weird and more fun for that reason. This one got 3.5 stars for me. When We Left Cuba by Chanel Cleaton. This one is a historical fiction spy novel with a main character that has huge bad bitch energy and was overall a great time to read. This one was 4 stars for me. All My Rage by Sabaa Tahir. Be prepared to cry over this star-crossed lover story of 2 Pakistani American teens and all of the terrible things that happened to them. 5 stars. In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. I loved how dramatic and Gossip Girl-esque this was with all of the secrets and backstabbing, and it made for a really fun thriller. This one was 4.5 stars for me. Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. This was super weird and I honestly don't know what happened, but it gets an A++ for the vibes. 2 stars. The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This one was such a cute little romance with so much heart to it and definitely a feel-good read. 3.5 stars. Bridgerton, the Duke and I by Julia Quinn. If you love the show, then this is a treat, but otherwise I'd avoid. 3 stars. The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn. This is such a cute Regency romance read, and honestly, in my opinion, better than season 2 of the show because Edwina is so much cooler in the book. 4 stars. The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. This is the coolest ever sci-fi fantasy set in New York that will have you screaming in delight at all of the awesome twists by the end, while also having one of the most well-written and diverse cast of characters. 5 stars. The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. I honestly wanted more out of the plot of this one, but the sapphic romance was just too cute and I'm so excited for the sequel. 3 stars. An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn. This is such a cute Cinderella-esque Regency romance that is honestly my favorite of the Bridgerton books, but I recognize that Benedict is kind of an ass. This one got 4 stars from me. Romancing Mr. Bridgerton by Julia Quinn. I honestly could have lived without this one, and I don't really care for Colin as a love interest, but I do like Penelope, so 2 stars. To Sir Philip with Love by Julia Quinn. This did not live up to my expectations in any way, shape, or form for Eloise, but I guess I'll get over it. 2 stars. She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. This one honestly wasn't as great as everyone told me it was, but it's still a pretty decent fantasy. 3 stars. Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. This is my favorite of Sally Rooney's books and one that I actually constantly think about all the time. 4 stars. The Stationery Shop by Marjan Kamali. This is my second read of this book and it still stands as one of the best literary fiction romances I've ever read. 5 stars. Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. An absolute waste of time, but has some pretty words. 1 star. Normal People by Sally Rooney. Another waste of time with insufferable characters this time, and still some pretty language. 2 stars. Circe by Madeline Miller. This one was really beautiful, but honestly a bit underwhelming, and it's definitely on the side of all vibes, not much plot. 3 stars. Within These Wicked Walls by Lauren Blackwood. A really cute, slightly spooky YA fantasy with some endearing characters. 3 stars. 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. The greatest second chance romance you will ever read with the best main couple, each of whom is incredible in their own right. 5 stars. Real Easy by Marie Rutkowski. An underwhelming thriller set at a strip club in the 90s. 2 stars. Be a Triangle by Lily Singh, a really cute motivational book by one of my faves that really helped me remember to stick to my foundations. 5 stars. Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. A classic Taylor Jenkins Reid book, but not as great as the other ones in my opinion. 3 stars. Know My Name by Chanel Miller. The most powerful memoir I have ever read and one that should definitely be required reading. 5 stars. Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri. A solid lower stakes fantasy with a main couple dynamic that was pretty great. 3.5 stars. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. A moving memoir / fiction with some really beautiful lines. 3 stars. Blue Skin Gods by S.J. Sindhu. One of the biggest surprise of the year and has become one of my favorites of the year. 5 stars. This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El Motar and Max Gladstone. A very confusing sci-fi sapphic romance that was honestly great for the vibes and the lines, but not so much for the plot. 3 stars. The Roughest Draft by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca, the cutest writerly romance that you will ever find. 4 stars. Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata, a really thought-provoking read that I still find super weird, but also super cool whenever I think about it. 3 stars. Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I really love this one and devoured it immediately, but I still can't decide if I love it more than her other romances. 4.5 stars. Violetta by Isabel Allende, a slightly underwhelming but nevertheless moving story about one woman over a century of her life. 3 stars. The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley, a relatively interesting thriller. 3 stars. This Woven Kingdom by Tara Mafi. Unfortunately did not live up to my expectations. 2 stars. Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan, an adult fantasy that really feels more like a YA and one that I really enjoyed for the world building and the endearing characters. 3.5 stars. Crooked Hallelujah by Kelly Jo Ford, a moving intergenerational story about a family of indigenous women that will get you in the feels. 4 stars. Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. This one had me on the edge of my seat because I honestly just love the drama. 5 stars. An American Marriage by Tayari Jones. You will never find a set of characters that are more flawed than these ones, but they are honestly so beautiful for their messiness. 5 stars. Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. I honestly did not see the point in this book. 1 star. The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. Everyone said this one was amazing and they were right. 5 stars. Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I doubted everyone who said this one was amazing for so long, but they were right. 5 stars. I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. A fascinating memoir about some really heavy stuff that still manages to make the book quite funny. 5 stars. Lester by Raven Leilani. I was honestly really skeptical of this one going into it, but I ended up really enjoying this hot sad girl book. 3 stars. Disorientation by Elaine Say Show. The weirdest, most batshit crazy satire that examines academia and our modern culture in a searing way, and I loved every moment of it. 5 stars. You Exist Too Much by Zaina Arafat. A weird romp of a book with a main character just going through it in a really relatable way. 3 stars. Rosewater by Tade Thompson, a really intricate sci-fi set in Nigeria with lots of layers and which left me with more questions than answers. 3 stars. The School for Good Mothers by Jessamine Chan, a quite interesting book with a really extended metaphor for the ridiculous way we treat mothers in our society. 3 stars. Pachinko by Minjin Lee, a deeply moving multi-generational saga across history that had me sobbing hysterically by the end. 5 stars. You're Invited by Amanda Jayatissa, a really fun and dramatic thriller set in Sri Lanka. 3.5 stars. At Least You Have Your Health by Maddie Sina, a delightful contemporary fiction about a working mom and alternative medicine. 4 stars. Babel by R.F. Kuang, one of my favorite books of the entire year, and nothing compares to this alternate history fantasy that takes a slam at the evils of colonialism while telling a heartbreaking story of a cast of endearing students of color. 5 stars. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, a dark and twisted, spooky fantasy confrontation with rape culture that was honestly even better the second time around. 5 stars. The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I love all of these characters and would take a bullet for each of them. 5 stars. If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. Not as compelling the second time around, but still a really interesting Shakespearean thriller. 3.5 stars. What Moves the Dead by T. King Fisher, a really cozy little spooky read that is just great for the vibes during Halloween. 4 stars. Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. A little slower on the second time around, but still incredibly fantastic for the themes and history that it tackles. 4 stars. The Secret History by Donna Tartt. A fantastic dark academia and satire, but God, do I wish it was shorter and less Orientalist. 3.5 stars. Heart of the Sun Warrior by Sue Lynn Tan. I really wish this author wouldn't over-explain everything in the narration, but boy did I add a whole ass star for the unexpected ending to the love triangle. 3 stars. And with that, those are all 64 books that I read in 2022. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I would love to hear your thoughts on all of these books in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and go check out my Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, and TikTok in the description down below. If you're looking for another video to watch from me, go check out my top 10 books of 2022, where I go in depth into some of these books that I loved from 2022. I'll see you guys in my next video, and please remember that this story ain't over. Bye!